All right, so our last lesson focused on drawing the cell phone holder small piece. We drew that, we drilled the 5/16 diameter hole, and we labeled all the dimensions. Today, what we're going to be doing is looking at our final drawing here. We're going to be drawing the cell phone mount, the large piece that you see right here. And that piece is a 1/2 inch thick, 3.5 inches wide, just like all the other pieces. And this one is 10 inches long, and it's going to get a rabbit just like the other piece we did. That is going to be a 1/4 inch deep and a 1/2 inch wide. That is going to fit into the cell phone small holder piece. And then once we draw this piece, I'm going to show you how to make it a component and attach it to the small piece, the cell phone holder small piece. So let's get started on that. So we're going to go to our drawing. This is what you should all have at this point. The base attached to the vertical piece, and then the cell phone holder small piece drawn and dimensioned. So I am going to go ahead and draw the cell phone mount. So we're going to get our rectangle tool over here. Click our rectangle tool. And I'm going to click somewhere out here. Click once. Make sure you only click once. And I believe since we want this to be on the same plane as the base, we want to see a blue line. We don't want to see green or red. So I'm going to project out to this direction, and I'm not going to click a second time. And now I'm going to type my dimensions in, which are 3 space 1/2 for 3.5. I'm going to do quotation marks for representing inches, comma, and then I want 10 inches long. So if you look in the bottom right corner where it says dimensions, I don't want to move my mouse because I'll mess up what I typed. You should have 3.5 inches wide by 10 inches long. We're going to hit enter. And now we have our flat rectangle. Next, which we should be familiar with at this point, is our push-pull tool. I'm going to get my push-pull and highlight that rectangle until you see the blue dots. I'm going to left-click once and then move my cursor up until I see it moving upwards. And I'm going to type my thickness in, 1/2. Make sure you do quotation marks, which is 2 lines representing inches, not 1 line representing feet. Once you have 1/2 inch typed, hit enter, and we now have our rectangle. Okay. Now, the only other step we have to do on this is to draw our rabbit, which we want to put on this end, not this end, because if we draw it on this end, it's going to make it easiest for me to just move it over and attach it to the cell phone holder small piece. Okay, so what I want to do is use my orbit tool, and I'm going to rotate my camera around until I have a nice side view, something like that. You can zoom in a little bit if you want. And now I'm going to get my pencil tool. I'm going to click pencil. And I want to highlight the end point, and then I want to come up until it snaps to blue where it says midpoint. If the piece is a 1/2 inch thick, our midpoint is a 1/4 inch. So once you have the blue dot showing, you're going to left click once. I just left click once. Move your line out to the right. You should see a green line like that. And you can either move until on the bottom right corner, if you look down here, you'll see the length as you move along. Make sure it stays in a green line. If it turns black, it means it's not a straight line. But you can either move it out until you see length turn to 1/2 inch, or you could just move it somewhere out here and then type 1/2 inch and hit enter. So now I have a 1/2 inch line. Now I want to move it down. And once again, pay attention to the color of the line. If it's black, it means you're drawing the line on an angle. If it snaps to blue, that means we're drawing a perfectly vertical line. And if we turn red, we're also not drawing a straight line. So I want it to be a blue line, and it says on edge where it snaps to the red square. And also, if you look at the bottom right corner where it says length, it says 1/4 inch. So that's what we want. So I'm going to left click. And now I made my mark for the rabbit. Okay. Now what I want to do is go over to the orbit tool once again. And I'm just going to pan my camera around so I can see the end of the piece, something like this. And I'm going to get my push-pull tool. I'm going to click on this surface. Okay, so make sure the blue dots highlight this right here. Not this, not this, not this. I'm going to come right here. I'm going to left click once. Don't click again. Move your cursor in this direction. And once it stops on the end there, then you can left click again, and you're going to see the material disappear, and you now have your rabbit. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is make this a component, and we're going to name it. I'm just going to go to our drawing over here. Cell phone mount, large piece. Okay. So remember to make an object a component. We're going to get to our arrow tool here. I'm going to select the object, the whole object. It should look something like this. Now I'm going to, with my cursor over the object, I'm going to right click it, and I want to go to make component. Now I'm going to name it, definition, okay, cell phone mount, large piece. Okay. And we're going to leave this alone. We're going to leave all of this alone. And we're going to click OK. Okay. You should see your object highlighted something like this. Okay. Now, we can also dimension this. All right. So we're going to go to our tape, excuse me, tape measure and dimensions. We're going to click from here to here, come out, showing 3.5 inches. We can go from bottom to top here, come out to show 1/2 inch, and let's come from here to here. That'll show our 10 inches. Okay. We're not going to dimension our rabbit because when you guys submit your drawings, if everything was drawn properly, this should fit nicely right into the cell phone holder. And if I see that it doesn't look right, then I'll know that the rabbit is not the right size. Okay, so what I want to do now is have you delete your dimension lines over here. Just because I already saw your dimension lines for this assignment and I've already graded it. So just so things don't get too overly confusing when we put the two together, we're going to click on each one until it turns blue and then hit delete. So I'm going to get rid of that, get rid of that. Okay. Now we want to put the two together. So I'm going to turn my camera with the orbit tool, something like this. I'm going to hold shift and click until I'm kind of a little more centered. with my screen this here and this here. If yours is a little different, that's okay. It's not going to make a difference. So what we want to do now to attach the two is use the move tool over here, these arrows and a plus sign. And I want to get my cursor, I'm going to zoom in so you can see. I want it to be right here. I don't want it here. I don't want it here or here. I think the easiest spot for you to do this is to click this corner right here. So you see it turns to kind of a purple circle. So I'm going to click that once, left click it once. All right. And then I might have to move my camera out because they were a little too far away. So we're going to go to our orbit tool. And you might have to do this too. If they're far away, you might have to move it, pan your camera, move again. Okay. Might be a little fussy, but we'll get it. So I'm going to once again click that corner, left click it once, and then I'm going to move it over, and it should even snap into place. Possibly. Maybe not. There it is right there. So what I'm aiming for is this corner right here. Okay. So if you're looking at this white space here, that where that gray dot is on the top left, that's where I want to aim my cursor for. And you see how it snaps into place. Once you see it snap into place, left click, and you should be good. If you want to inspect it, which I suggest you do, zoom in and then go to your orbit tool and pan your camera. Whoops. Pan your camera around, make sure everything is lined up left to right, side to side. Everything should be nice and lined up. And it is. So that's looking good. And so we're going to leave it at this for, one more thing is we're going to just add the label for this. So I'm trying to just position this to a point where I want you to send me a screenshot and then we'll label it. Let's see. Something like this should probably be good. I want to be able to see that your rabbit is fitting nicely with the cell phone holder small piece. So something like this, and let's just label text. Let's go on the face, cell phone mount, large piece. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna move it so that your screen is something like this. And I should be able to see your dimensions, thickness, width, length. I should be able to see your rabbit, and I should see that it's interlocked nicely with the small piece. Okay, so that is going to end this lesson. The next lesson is going to be attaching this whole unit onto the rest of the project. And we're also going to be attaching, we're going to put a cell phone on the end there, and that will complete our drawing. So this is what I want to see for today's assignment. Screenshot this with your dimensions, and that will complete this assignment.